we're not ready. We're going to look at that next year. And it's just very vague. And I don't know if that's just like, I want to keep burying my head in the sand longer or what, or I need to make more money so that I can afford it, or it's a weird
It's like, I want to get in
excuse.
shape before I go to the gym.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
The Business Owner's Journey. I'm Nick Berry, and I've got real business owners telling their real stories, sharing their real lessons and strategies so you don't have to figure it all out on your own.
Ryan Page is a founder of Backpocket CPAs, where he builds finance operating systems to help business owners become better operators. Ryan's also a contributing CPA to my Building Your Finance Strategy Team guide, which we're giving away in the show notes. Most agency owners are making decisions off of a bank balance and a gut feeling, and we all know that's expensive, and Ryan's going to explain to us exactly why. Expect to learn why gross margin matters more than revenue, what you should expect from a fractional CFO, and what you should expect from a bookkeeper, what a 90-day cash flow forecast reveals that your mental math won't, his take on when to stop DIYing your books, how to build financial ownership into your team, why accounting should be seen as an investment, what his Backpocket Operating System's 4-step framework looks like in the real world in practice, and why we're not ready is the most costly excuse in business. Enjoy this episode with Ryan Page. Once I got things cleaned up and it looked good and it was easy and it was informative, I feel very different about what the finance is supposed to be doing for me and my
Interesting.
responsibilities as the finance leader in
Yeah.
my company.
I think what you said there is, or at least what it sounds like, is you took responsibility of it. And that's sort of where things changed maybe a little bit. Whereas previously, maybe it was just like a black box we don't touch. And then also the industry is kind of like boring old accountants, lock them in the room. And so the two of those.
And I didn't know what to expect, what I
Yeah.
should expect. I guess accidentally I found someone who told me this is what you should be expecting. And this other stuff is what you've just been accepting.
Yeah. So you kind of had someone lead you to the water.
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
lucky.
Yeah. It is nice when you have someone who's like wanting to teach you and you're receptive for it. I think that's kind of an important part of finding a good provider too, is like you need to sort of match where you're at with their expertise.
The person that really taught me was still my CPA.
Yeah.
And he was just like he communicated with me well. He understood, like I didn't know what I didn't know, but I was trying to find it. And so he tried to meet me where I was at. But I've always wondered like why it doesn't seem like that is as prevalent as I would have expected it to be.
Yeah.
Like, because I think that my perspective on that was typical, common. Yeah. So like, what do you find?
The way that a business owner thinks about their finances and their accounting cost is it's a cost. So it's something that they try to minimize. And when you try to minimize your cost there, you're not going to get the investment side of it because you're paying bottom dollar for it. And so like how can I as a provider invest a lot of time into you, or the time that you feel like a CPA should spend on you, and you're not willing to pay for it, is like the honest truth of it.
So from your perspective, it's like there are the prospects and clients who they're shopping or they're looking for cheap.
Yeah.
And they're probably not ideal. But then there are the people who are like, I don't mind paying for it. I just don't know where to find it or what I'm actually looking for.
Definitely. There's the shoppers, and then they don't know what they're looking for. And I think the industry, like a lot of people think like, oh, I just need bookkeeping, and bookkeeping is bookkeeping is bookkeeping. So then that means that's the thought. And so that means that they try to, again, minimize the cost. But when you like come to someone like us, like we're selling a system that works and that we install, and like that's how we bubble up the decisions, the ability for you to make decisions. And so it's just a different mindset, I think.
Let's talk about the system and kind of in comparison to maybe the perception of bookkeeping or finance as a whole.
The traditional way is I just want you to do my books, or I just want you to run payroll, or it's just like one-off things. I just want you to do my taxes. That's like the traditional model. Like, and what we're doing is we're selling a financial operating system for digital marketing agencies. And the way that we see it is like people kind of follow, people being businesses kind of they all follow a process, and we pick them up wherever they are on the process. So typically it's, we call it our Backpocket Operating System, and it's a done for you system where we come in and help them become financially mature operators. What that means really is we're coming in, we're auditing the state of the business, putting together a plan of what to do. And then we're going to clean it up and make it so that you can actually make decisions. And then from there, we're going to create forecasts and start to drive the decisions more. We're comparing the forecasts to the actuals. And so we're in the cockpit with you, like in the trenches, figuring out what the heck to do. And then we're going to, through doing that, we're fortifying the foundation. We're basically making the business stronger. And then as we do that, we grow, we encounter more issues at different stages. And then the cycle just kind of repeats, finding what's wrong, we're forecasting it. But it all comes back to creating the financials in a way that helps us bubble up decisions and understand the unit economics of the business. So then we can scale on that strategically.
Give me a few examples, if you can, of like what type of decisions, what are these conversations that you're able to have then, and compare what I'm thinking about. I'm putting myself in the shoes of somebody who doesn't have that information or hasn't seen that information. So in comparison to what their day is currently like, where it's like decision, flip a coin.
The area where I see it the most is you talk to any business owner, we're comparing notes. Hey, how's business going? Oh, top line revenue is X. And so everyone talks around top line revenue, but where I think people need to focus and where we bring the light first is usually margin. And I think in any business, not just marketing agencies, you need to think about margin, a gross margin. Basically, how much money am I making net after servicing this project? And that number needs to be one, sustainable, and two, pretty consistent, because otherwise your service offering could fail. So trying to put numbers to that, say we make $100 for a marketing agency, 50 to 60%, $50 to $60 should be what's left after servicing the project. And then the rest of the business should take, like, let's say $20 out of that. So then you figure your net margin should be 30 to $40, let's say 20 to $40. And so that is what should be true on every dollar that we make through the business. And if it's not, then we need to evaluate our decisions against that framework. And I think that alone is basically, that's the core of the decisions. That's like marketing industry benchmarks. It's going to depend on the industry and everything kind of trickles off from there. So in order for us to get 50% margins, we have to utilize our team in a certain way. And so then we need to start tracking utilization and the way that people are using their time against projects. And then we get into monthly recurring revenues and churns. And so how do we reduce churn so then we don't have to always get new clients? How do our advertising costs look as a percent of revenue? How's our labor in terms of revenue? So then you're kind of just like benchmarking things in terms of revenue or agency-wise, agency gross income. And then, so metrics all sort of scale, I think, off of the margin and creating the consistency in the business.
So what I like hearing is you've got something to compare to. So we can count anything, but if you don't know what's good or what's bad, then like you've got a number of something.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people get sucked, like I started all of that with, was they get sucked into the top line. So they're like, oh, I'm doing great, I'm making $1 million. But the person making $1 million in your same business model, the person making $1 million and keeping 200K is doing better than the person making $1 million and keeping 50K.
Yeah.
So it's like a breakdown in fundamentals at that point.
How do you build this into their existing business processes or operating routine? Like, I kind of get how the department itself would operate, but how do you like build this into what they do?
It's going to depend on the size of the business. But say it's like a $500,000 agency where they're sort of on the smaller end agency wise, but they're cruising along. Like usually at that level, what I've seen is that they're inconsistent with the way that they don't have any system in place for the way that they're collecting costs associated with their delivering the service. Said differently, like basically the money's not matching right. We earn $1 here, the expense for it's coming out 2 months later. So like that all starts to throw off the actual reporting of it. So it's basically, we need to condense and align those things. So it's kind of just like that's at that stage, right? We need to get the money coming in consistently where we don't have to think about it. We have to get the money going out consistently and tightening the cash cycle. And then basically that's the foundation then to get you to the next level. And then at the next level comes down to culture and managing how we're tracking time more. I just did one the other day. It's a $2.5 million agency. The strategy there is they already have the team in place, but the team doesn't own any of the financials. So it's basically still, they have no financial ownership as an org. But then I think because they already have the team in place, we make the team responsible for their specific aspect of the business. And so again, the strategy is kind of shifting as the company is a different size.
Tell me more about specifically what you mean when you say they don't have ownership of it, of the numbers.
So there's no one in there that's actually looking at how the business is performing. The owner and his partner are going into QuickBooks, but their financials don't make sense. They're not consolidated enough. I'll say they make sense in the sense that they're updated. They're consistently updated, but they are not designed in a way to drive any decisions. Said differently, when you look at a P&L and it's a P&L, profit and loss, when you look at it and it's 20 different categories of like, okay, we spent this on parking and this on like dues and subscriptions, and it's like $10. Like no one cares about that. So basically you need to condense all of that into the main drivers, advertising and marketing, labor and benefits, general and admin, travel and entertainment, and maybe like software. I've had some agencies that get sucked into software. So then those 5 drivers as a percentage of agency gross income are what we start to keep a pulse on.
Okay. And so this, when you were talking about ownership, what you're saying is like they're making sure that all the beans are counted, but there's nobody that's making sure that there's insight derived from the numbers.
Yeah, no insight there. And then, yeah, in that example, it was considered a full service agency where they have a web design team, they have a social media team, and they have a development team. They have a head of each one, but none of them are responsible for the specific margins of their division. So that's where, I mean, like this person's the head of that department. They should be the one driving the results. And then it kind of gets the owners out of the ones that are like, oh, what's going on here? It's like, actually, we'll tie compensation and incentive to the division results and then make the people responsible and upskill them in managing their aspect of the business.
Okay, there you go. So we're talking ownership in terms of authority and ability to affect the numbers, not just making sure that they've been
Yeah.
counted correctly.
In that case, that was the strategy that I suggested. But I wouldn't say that as a small agency where the team, yeah, I mean, it's all dependent, I guess, on what they're doing and what they're moving towards.
So give me an example of a smaller agency where it would be different, where you might suggest something different.
$500,000 agency, they don't have the team in place for that. So basically all of that's still executed through the owners, but they're not going to be able to support the cost of having a head of social media, head of web dev. So I think they need to streamline at that point, get the systems in place to be able to scale it to the next level, revenue wise, margin wise, and then take a step back and implement the people that way.
Okay. So they would install something, I guess, of a lighter version that works for them at that size with the capacity that they have. And
Yeah.
then they make it to the next stage and then they can upgrade or
Yeah.
build onto it.
Yeah. I think the fundamental aspect of the structure of the reports and keeping the margins in line and the percent of agency gross income items in line is enough to give them the visibility that they need at that level. But they don't need like departmental ownership.
It's a path that I remember going down at one time. So it's like once the light bulb comes on, do you find that they react kind of the way I described me reacting? It's like, oh shit, this doesn't have to be a drag. This can be a driver, an advantage for us.
Yeah, it is. It's awesome when the light bulb clicks. And when I just had a client in the last couple weeks where they're like, I've been harping on margins, design the reports and so that they could see it. And then they're in the example, they're at like 38% margin. And so I'm like, well, this needs to be up. And then it begs the question of pricing and cost going into it. And then they took ownership of basically creating their pricing model and adjusting it. And it's like, this is sweet. Like we're in this now. Like you're understanding the fundamentals of your business and I'm just here to like keep the guardrails around you and guide you. So it's a lot of fun when that happens.
You're like a proud parent.
I am. Especially because they're younger than me.
The things that people are coming to you and talking about, like the pain points, is, it's not just it's tax time and I've got a shoebox full of receipts, that kind of stuff, right? Like,
No.
These are people who are wanting to do more with their money. They're not just trying to check the tax man box.
Yeah. I wouldn't even touch projects like that if I got a shoebox. This is the 21st century. That's my,
You should
that's
be
my,
ashamed.
that's my response to that now.
I like that.
If anyone makes me print a piece of paper and sign it, it's not for me. So
what are some more modern versions of those pains?
one of the common ones is just we don't have the ownership there, or like my bookkeeper maintains the books, but we don't know what to do with it. So they're kind of like keeping everything organized in that sense, but not making decisions. So they want to take it a step further from that lens. And that's where the fractional CFO side comes in. Some of them are just our books are a mess. We've never paid attention to it. And that's where we start is clean up the books, get
Do they
everything.
know that it doesn't have to be that way? Is that there's cleaning it up, but then there's like beginning to derive insight and leverage it, right? Which is
Yeah,
kind of another level above that. Are they aware that there's an advantage to be had there?
some are, some aren't. I think for the most part, it's kind of why I like agencies. I'm going to say for the most part, they're aware of it because you figure a lot of them are delivering a service where it's like we're running ads, we're analyzing metrics, figuring out like what to do. And so it's the same thing typically on their business on the inside. Like they know that there's stuff there. They know the essence of like churn and that type of stuff. So
Okay. That makes sense.
it's just we don't know how to get there and they don't want to dedicate the time to it themselves. But yeah, I'd say those are some of the main ones there.
Talk about the Backpocket operating system and the 4-step plan that you take people through.
Yeah, so it's like you said, it's a 4-step framework. It's a done for you system that basically helps create those financially mature operators. And the first step is go in, find the leaks. So that's just an audit basically of the current state of the books and putting together the plan for how we're going to fix it, and two, what's our strategy for the company going forward based on the stage they're in. And then the second stage after you do that is to go in and fix everything that you identified. Basically install the reporting structure, make sure that we can now derive KPIs from the core of the business. And then from there, you get into forecasting it. That's like really understanding the unit economics, kind of like we talked about a bit, building the forecast out, making sure we have the guardrails, the KPIs in place. And then all of that is combined to fortify the foundation. And that is the guardrails, the SOPs in place, the systems are there. And that's like the foundation then to grow on. And then as they grow, we need more fixing and finding and forecasting. And then it keeps fortifying it more and more as the business grows.
You deliver this it can be in several different tiers, right? So all the way from fractional CFO to the
Yeah.
bookkeeping level.
Yeah, it is. So usually the way it is like find is usually the first step. We come in, we do the audit. That's where everyone starts. And then we kind of like think of ourselves as a doctor. That's us diagnosing what's going on. And then from there we can prescribe where they land. One, based on what they want, and two, based on what we see. As a company, my belief is that and the people that I want to be around is people that can derive value from their financials at any point in time. And so because of that, we do weekly bookkeeping. And that's so our minimum base tier is weekly bookkeeping. And then we're in there, everything's updated. Anyone should be able to log in at any point and make decisions on their financials. CEO support wise, we typically do unlimited communication through that. And then ultimately we record a video every month. That's basically like, here's what's going on in your books. Here's what we see. Here's some maybe opportunity for you. And so that's our base tier. The mid tier, the growth tier is kind of along the lines of CFO in a more strategic way of here's your forecast, more aligned like monthly calls. So we're aligned on the CFO lens. And then we get into a scale tier, which is more of us hands-on in the business, cash flow forecasting, budgeting, for actual P&L forecasting, and then all the reporting and KPIs around that.
Okay. So they can basically outsource an entire department to you.
Exactly. Yep.
What does that look like typically? Because what I'm thinking of is it's like you went from Nick, you were basically having to look and see if there was this money in a bank account. That was the way you made a decision on anything to now, what metrics matter, whether they're in good standing or bad standing. And you have some means of determining is what we're going to spend this money on working or not?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like that's a very different feeling.
Yeah. Yeah.
You go from feeling like a dumbass to feeling like, oh, I actually kind of know what I'm doing here. I know how to do this well.
Yeah. One, I know how to do it well. And two, I have a partner with me who's like understands the essence of my business. I think those two intangibles are some of the things that I notice the most is people just start coming to me. Hey, what should I do here? What's this decision? I need to pay this person. Can I do it? To me, I'm like, follow the cash forecast. But
Yeah.
then again, it's also like a blessing that they trust me to help guide the decision.
It is. And it's a good thing that they found you. But the realization that I had, and I think that that's what we're talking about with them prior to meeting you, is you look back and you're just carrying around all these different versions of the question, like, how do I know if, or how do I know when all these decisions are all like, how do I know if I should, or how do I know what to,
Mhm.
you just don't have the information
Yeah,
on hand or in front of you to be able to make those decisions. So you've got this like tangled ball of things that you'd like to be
yeah,
intentional about doing and doing well, that you're just kind of winging it.
yeah. You go, "Well, there's cash there. I think I'm good."
Right. And when you think about it like that and how long you like somebody like me was dodging the raindrops,
Yeah,
it makes a lot more sense why you hear these statistics about how many businesses go under.
yeah,
Well, hell yeah, they go under if they're making their decisions as uninformed as I was at that point, and I think a lot of them are.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's chaos and gut decisions and not focusing
Guessing.
on the fundamentals.
Yep, guessing.
Yeah.
But fortunately, to get from there to where you feel like, oh shit, I've been staggering around blindfolded for a while,
Mhm.
to feeling like you know what to do and you know how to do it well. There's some learning involved, but you find somebody like Ryan who they've done all of the acquiring the knowledge. They can give you the system and basically figure out how you to stay in your lane, do your thing, but do it being informed
Yeah,
by the the finance department, the reports, the forecast, and all that.
exactly, yeah. I think part of what you said there that's really important is staying in your lane because a lot of people, again, it goes back to bookkeeping being a cost. They think, "Oh, I can do this myself," and then either A, they do it wrong, or B, they do it once a year, and it's wrong, and so I think those elements combined are important there. Stay in your lane and, like, bring on the help to guide you.
I'm definitely not an advocate for find the cheapest you can. That's too close to guesswork, right?
Yeah.
And that's no way to operate.
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of people don't know and wonder like how much should they pay. And I think just an industry benchmark for accounting services is usually like 2 to 3% of revenue. And so if you're not paying that much and getting good service, then kudos and your CPA is undercharging. Or if they are, then yeah, you're in the ballpark of kind of what is typical.
2 to 3%. I did not know that, but I think from the time I met the CPA that I mentioned, who kind of enlightened me, we invest heavily in our
Hmm.
relationship with them.
Yeah.
There's not been any question that it's been worth it every year, and we can see the numbers.
Yeah.
The reason that I say that is because I think that's what somebody should expect and
Yeah.
they should get out of working with somebody like
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's awesome that you feel that way about your provider too. I'd love to meet him because I love having good CPAs in my back pocket.
they're in Louisville. He's in
Oh yeah.
Louisville, but I think their firm main branch is out of Nashville. They're close to you. Like when you're thinking about running your business and you're putting together your team of people, putting together your like board of advisors, the people you need in your ear, and having your team of professionals that are involved. You know, your finance expert is got to be involved at every level.
Yeah.
Um, and
Absolutely.
and if not, that's just a monster blind spot
I agree.
and a dangerous one. I'd like to know, where should they start right now? What is the thing that they're telling themselves that would keep them from actually starting they shouldn't be telling themselves?
That's a funny one because it's like, I feel like I hear in a few prospects lately of just, we're not ready. We're going to look at that next year. And it's just very vague. And I don't know if that's just like, I want to keep burying my head in the sand longer or what, or I need to make more money so that I can afford it. Or it's a weird
It's like, I want to get in
excuse.
shape before I go to the gym.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll leave that to the listener to put two
Yeah.
and two together on that one.
Get your head out of the sand and just go get an audit or something like,
Yeah.
or I mean, even easier, where does someone start with basically like, I have a template that I can give you, or you could just pull out an Excel document and enter your cash balance as of today, estimate your inflows and your outflows, and basically columns along the top are weeks. And then just start like you're already keeping a running tally in your head. Just start to model it out like 2 months ahead. And that alone is like a good quick clarity check of like, where's cash flow going? And then and then it gets into, okay, well, what do we need to do to stabilize this? Or what do we need to shift or delay to make sure we're not going negative right there? So that's a good low hanging fruit to maybe get past that hurdle too.
Is that the 90-day cash flow forecast?
Yep.
Got it. Yeah, but you got to get started somewhere. I think no matter what, one of the first things that will happen is you'll realize that the tally that you have been running in your head is not as close as what you think. You might already know
Oh
that. You
yeah.
probably have cut a little deeper, cut all the way to the bone a few times and realized your math is bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's risky
That's very
business.
common too. I just had the conversation yesterday. Someone I've been working with too. That's like, oh yeah, we estimate $500 a month in meals. It's like, you're trending to 2,000 to 2,500 a month. Like that's a big difference. Or software, same thing. Like 5x what you think. So those are common.
Yeah, I'm the software when
Yeah, it's fun to try them out, and then they just get lost. Or you just put one random thing in there, and then you just have to keep it forever.
yeah, they've got their hooks in. No matter how bad you think it is, you're not going to be the first person to be in that
Exactly.
spot.
Yeah, I mean,
But you
there's
got to
no
start
shame in
fixing.
it. Exactly. No shame. I think that's something very important too. Like everything we've talked about here, obviously there's a lens to look at it of like, shoot, I'm doing that. Oh, shoot, I'm doing that. But then the other lens of it is like, it's where you are and like, there's no shame in where you are. And let's just start improving it now as we go.
Yeah, I think Ryan won't shame anybody. I'll shame.
Yeah, you can.
There's
It's I
there's
won't.
no shame in it. I think for me, there might be a little bit of shame in knowingly continuing to do it. Right at a
Uh,
certain point, you're going to have to get out of your comfort zone and make the move.
yeah.
And I don't know a single person who's ever decided to pull their head up out of the sand and get out of their comfort zone and just take it on the chin, go through the process, get things fixed, who said they regret it. They
Yeah.
always are like, I should have done this however long.
Yeah. It's such a weight for so many people for so
It
long.
is.
And
Sure
like, I'm
is.
sure you feel like a better operator too, just more confident, like aware of the numbers. Even if you still have a black hole like software, like it's there and whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. What you just said, I think is another really important aspect. Like for anybody who's listening to this and most people who are in business, they want to be a good operator. They want to be a good business owner. And you can't really be that if you just disregard. If you think you're going to outsell ignoring your finances or outsell just bad habits.
Outsell the fundamentals.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one. Ryan, I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. This was fun.
Thank you so much for listening. If you found the show valuable, you can say thanks and show your support simply by taking a quick second to like, share, and comment on the show. You can also find more information about each of my guests, all of the resources from the show, and myself at nickberry.info/TBOJ.